Obscure games, living in the shadow of same name, different game. Get it? Get it? Well, hello there. I'm Roger the Retro Gaming Puppet, and this is Obscure Games. Now, if you saw me in the last episode of Same Name, Different Game running down the Game Gear version of Ninja Gaiden, then, well, the topic of this episode shouldn't surprise you at all. It's Ninja Gaiden Shadow on the Game Boy. Known as Ninja Ryukenden GB Matenro Kessen, roughly translated as Legend of the Ninja Dragon Sword GB Skyscraper Showdown in Japan, and simply Shadow Warriors in Europe, Ninja Gaiden Shadow was released at the end of 1991, as perhaps a coda to the NES trilogy. Of course, this game's dirty little secret, which I don't really think is that much of a secret now, if it ever really was, is that Ninja Gaiden Shadow was actually developed as a Game Boy port of the NES game Shadow of the Ninja by Natsume, now known as Natsume Atari, which is not currently related to that Natsume nor that Atari. It's a long story, okay? Just trust me on this. Natsume planned to release it themselves as they had the NES Shadow of the Ninja, but Tecmo apparently dug what they saw at some point and shelled out to make it a Ninja Gaiden game. And it seems this happened pretty quickly, because the September 1991 issue of Nintendo Power mentioned it and showed a screenshot of it as Shadow of the Ninja. And the game came out in December of 1991 as Ninja Gaiden Shadow. Well, at any rate, Shadow the Ninja on the NES is a pretty good game, and I do plan on covering it in depth on this show at some point, but today, we're talking Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden Shadow serves as a prequel to the NES trilogy, with the opening cutscene stating that this takes place 3 years before the Jakio becomes a threat. I guess that explains why Ryu only knows one ninja art in this game. Yep, there's only one subweapon, the art of the fire wheel. And you pick it up in single uses, with the ability to hold up to 5. But other than that, it seems his training was pretty well underway, because he's got most of his other abilities. He can run, jump, destroy most anything with a single swing of his dragon sword. Oh, but actually I guess he hadn't gotten to the wall climbing part of his training yet either, because you can't hang on the wall or climb it at all. You do, on the other hand, have a pretty nifty grappling hook which you can use to haul your rope to some ceilings, which you can in turn climb along, similar to Ninja Gaiden 3. The stages are pretty straightforward with enemies and hazards, typical stuff of the day, but the game looks pretty great for a game released in just the 3rd year of this platform. And the devs clearly learned from earlier games for the system and made sure to draw the sprites accordingly. Ryu doesn't take up too much space here, and as such is pretty well maneuvered around the environments. Also, the soundtrack is solid. Some tracks are just a little better than average, the ones taken from Shadow of the Ninja, but there are some tracks taken from other Ninja Gaiden games, and the Game Boy stereo sound chip makes them sing. I like these arrangements a lot. There aren't really a lot of negatives about this game, honestly, but I will tell you, if you're expecting a story on par with the cheesy goodness of the NES games, you're not going to get it. You get a cutscene before the game starts, you get an ending cinematic, and that's about it. After each stage you see Ryu cut down the stage boss, but there's no banter or anything. The other issue is that, like the Game Gear Ninja Gaiden, it's pretty short and easy. Given that this was released on a 1989 portable system with no password or save feature, I understand this, but it's still a little bit of a bummer that there isn't more to the game. Most players will breeze through this game in less than an hour, even if they're coming in cold. And if you're a veteran of retro action platformers, probably 30 minutes. Still, for its time, it's an excellent portable action game, and even now it's a fun romp even if it leaves you wanting more. As far as collecting goes, well, Game Boy games aren't that expensive in the secondary market, but this one is creeping up there a little bit because of the series it's a part of. expect to pay 25 or 30 bucks for a bare cart, and, well, if you're collecting complete Game Boy games, then I suspect you already know what to expect from that market. Strangely, the game is not available on any download service, but the NES games are and the arcade game is, so yeah. I don't know why this one hasn't made it to the 3DS Virtual Console yet, but the fact remains that it hasn't. So if you want to check this one out and you don't have the hardware to do so, emulation is going to be your best bet. And that does it. I'm Roger the Retro Gaming Puppet, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time, right here on Obscure Old Games.